Ever wondered what's inside the pyramid?
With advanced radar, we can uncover hidden chambers.
Subscribe to Academy of RT now.
For more than 4,500 years, one single structure has just dominated the Egyptian desert. A monument made of stone, but also of secrets. The Great Pyramid of Giza. It's one of humanity's oldest, grandest, and most enduring mysteries. You know, it's a feat of engineering so huge, so unbelievably precise, that it still challenges everything we think we know about the ancient world. It was built from roughly 2 million massive stone blocks. I mean, just try to picture that. 2 million. It's a number that's so vast, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. And get this, each one of those blocks weighed, on average, 2.5 tons. That's about the weight of a modern SUV. Every single one was quarried, moved, and then lifted into place with just stunning precision. Without the cranes we have today, without even the wheel for transport, how on earth did the ancient Egyptians pull off this monumental feat? For centuries, that single question has haunted historians, engineers, everyone. And today, we're going to explore how modern technology might have finally given us the answer. Okay, so for centuries, the main explanation has always been ramps. Makes sense, right? But as we're about to see, the most popular theories about these ramps have some fundamental, almost impossible flaws. The whole debate has pretty much centered on two competing ideas. Either a single, massive, straight ramp going up one side, or a ramp that kind of spiraled around the outside of the pyramid as it got taller. So let's look at the long ramp model first. In theory, it's simple. To get a slope that's gentle enough for workers to haul these massive blocks, we're talking about an 8% grade. The ramp would have had to be over a mile long to reach the pyramid's 481-foot peak. A mile long! And this is where that theory just completely falls apart. The Giza Plateau is crowded, you've got cemeteries for the nobility being built all around it, you've got sloping land. There's just no physical space for a mile-long structure. And the craziest part? The amount of material you'd need for that ramp would actually be more than for the pyramid itself. So this theory basically collapses under its own weight. All right, so if the long ramp is a no-go, that brings us to the spiral ramp. It's a pretty elegant idea, right? It totally solves the space problem by having the ramp just wrap around the pyramid, but it creates a whole new set of engineering nightmares. The absolute crucial thing here is precision. The Great Pyramid is an engineering marvel. Its four faces meet perfectly at the very top. But a spiral ramp would have completely covered the corners, making it impossible for the ancient surveyors to make the constant, precise measurements they needed. Plus, a narrow path like that creates a bottleneck, slowing everything down. And that just doesn't work when you remember they built this entire thing in just 23 years. So with the old theories full of holes, it starts to suggest that maybe, just maybe, we've been underestimating the ingenuity of these builders. A French architect named Jean-Pierre Houdin came along with a radical new idea. What if the answer wasn't on the outside of the pyramid at all, but hidden deep inside it? Houdin's theory is, well, it's brilliant in its simplicity. He suggested you start with a short, straight, external ramp to build the massive bottom third of the pyramid. But at the very same time, you build another ramp, a 6-foot-wide passage that spirals upwards inside the pyramid structure itself. And this visualization just shows the process perfectly. For the first few years, they work on the base with the external ramp. Then the internal ramp comes into play. And here's the kicker. Around year 16, they take apart the external ramp and its blocks are hauled up the internal ramp to build the very top of the pyramid. This explains why we've never found evidence of a huge ramp. It was literally recycled into the final structure. For over a decade, this was just a really compelling theory. But there were these little tantalizing clues. This strange notch way up on the pyramid's corner lines up perfectly with where Houdin predicted there would need to be an opening, to pivot the massive blocks around the ramp's sharp turns. But it was still just a theory. To prove it, we'd need a way to see inside the pyramid itself. And that's where modern science enters the story. This is where the story shifts from ancient history to cutting-edge physics. A project called the ScanPyramids mission brought together an incredible team of scientists to literally look inside the pyramid, to see through solid stone without moving a single block. Their main tool is something called non-destructive testing, or NDT. It's basically a way of using physics to see what's invisible to the naked eye. It allows us to survey these priceless historical sites without any risk of damage whatsoever. So the team used a whole suite of different technologies. Think of ground-penetrating radar as being kind of like a sonar that maps what's underneath the surface. Ultrasonic testing listens for echoes bouncing off different materials. But the real game changer here was muon tomography. It actually uses cosmic rays, these tiny particles that are constantly raining down on us from space, to effectively X-ray the entire pyramid. It detects voids and hidden chambers just by tracking how many of these particles pass through. Now, each of these techniques gives you its own image, its own little piece of the puzzle. The real magic happens through a process they call image fusion. The best way to think of it is like layering several different transparent maps on top of each other. By combining all the data from the radar, the ultrasound, and the muons, they could create one single, high-confidence picture of what was hiding inside all that stone. All right, so with their instruments ready and their methods perfected, the ScanPyramids team focused all their attention on one specific and very promising spot on the pyramid's north face. They targeted this massive V-shaped structure of stone blocks known as the chevron. For years, people have suspected that this design was meant to distribute weight over some kind of hidden passageway, but nobody knew for sure. So this was the spot. This is where the team focused all their cosmic ray detectors and radar arrays. And this is the result. The fused data came back and revealed a crystal clear anomaly, that blue area you see in the scan. It was undeniable proof of a void, a hidden corridor, now named the ScanPyramids North Face Corridor, sealed for 4,500 years precisely behind those chevron blocks. This discovery, well, it changes everything. The confirmation of this hidden corridor is so much more than just finding a new room. It represents a fundamental shift in how we understand this ancient wonder was actually built. It forces us to ask a whole new set of questions. This isn't just about solving an engineering puzzle anymore. It's about reevaluating the incredible minds that conceived of it in the first place. Egyptologist Bob Breer, who was a huge supporter of the internal ramp theory, I think he puts it best. This discovery isn't really about a ramp. It's about intellectual achievement. It reveals a level of planning, of foresight, of abstract thinking that is just truly extraordinary. It confirms that the builders weren't just laborers. They were some of the most brilliant engineers in human history. You know, in the end, this is a story of two incredible feats of engineering. One ancient and forged in stone, the other modern and born from physics. We've used particles from deep space to unlock a secret that's been hidden for over 4 millennia. It really shows us that technology has become our telescope into the past, allowing us to see the genius of our ancestors more clearly than ever. And it leaves us with a pretty thrilling question. What other secrets, locked away in stone and time, are just waiting for the right tools to bring them to light?